Alright. It is Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 1:03 a.m. Alright, let's take a look at these articles. Chesterfield Food Bank feeds 30,000 people per month during pandemic. Chesterfield County, Virginia. The Chesterfield Food Bank has requested more volunteers and resources as the need during the pandemic persists into the fall. Kim Hill, the food bank CEO and executive director, told CBS 6 that they served roughly 10,000 families per month before the pandemic hit in March. 6 months later, they're serving nearly 30,000 people each month who seek out a helping hand. People are still not going back to work, Hill explained. They're trying to make ends meet, and we want to make sure that the hand up they get over this hump until their life straightens up a little bit. On Friday, a tweet shared thousands of times shows the lines of cars parked on Route 10 and Chesterfield at a distribution site. Drone footage provided by Brent Hoisen revealed that more than 100 cars snaking their way up to the front of the line. Every single week at every distribution, it reminds us how important our mission is in our community and to make sure people are fed, Hill explained. So there's so many people that they're feeding, and then it has increased. For New York, it says here New York residents wait in quarter-mile long line for food. Jobs remain scarce during pandemic. The Food Bank of New York has reported a 20% increase demand across the city. New York City residents increasingly line up every day for free food as jobs remain scarce due to the coronavirus pandemic, with the lines sometimes stretching out for a quarter mile. People show up before sunrise, waiting in a line that snakes around from corner to corner, so people can get food. We feel like we're underwater, drowning in a tsunami of people. Rodriguez, a volunteer who acts as executive director for La Jordana Food Pantry, told the Post. This isn't like a little rain coming down. The numbers are unbelievable. So that's a lot of pressure on these food banks for relying on the food bank. So many people relying on it. Says Orlando Food Bank sees long lines, primarily of furloughed Disney cast members. Says COVID-19 has completely rocked the tourism industry, as the usual crowds simply aren't flocking to the area as they were before. A local food bank with a 2 mile long line is a sign of the times. You see here the image of the cars lined up all the way to the back there. Says the Orlando South now reported that at 4 a.m. the first furloughed workers arrived to stake out their spots for free groceries. They wait for 4.5 hours in their cars. If they show up late, the food might run out by the 9 a.m. By the 9 a.m. early bumper-to-bumper row of cars stretches 2 miles, clicking up a lane of Orange Blossom Trail and heading down to Land Street Road. In the line, there are hundreds of people. Furloughed Disney work employees, welders who saw business shriveled up, hotel workers, and unceremoniously laid off in mass numbers, and others. So there's a lot of people in Orlando as well. This one, local food bank in need of donations. In Summerville, South Carolina, the first food bank in Summerville is still operating, but now they're asking for help with donations. In the past 18 years, God's Kitchen at Murray United Methodist Church has been assisting the overlooked and the hungry, but longtime church members such as Gladys Ed said they are needing help now more than ever. We had 2 bags come in this morning. We don't really have no one to bring in food. And Low Country Food Bank, it seems like they're getting lower and lower. They're giving so much to everybody. It seems like we're down on the totem. We don't get like what we used to, but then we still thank God for what we get. So people in Summerville, South Carolina, if you feel like donating to these food banks, make sure you go ahead and do so. Also, this is a smaller article. It says Irving Church Food Pantry seeks donations for a weekend food drive. There is a hunger gap in North Texas that has been increasing since the pandemic. NBC's 5 Noel Walker went to a small food pantry in Irving that is asking for help to meet the need. So if you're in Irving Church Food Pantry or in North Texas, make sure you donate for those food pantries. Okay, also, struggling farmers work with overwhelmed food banks to stay afloat. A farm worker picked Honeycrisp apples at an orchard in Yakima, Washington in June. More than a dozen states have a program to link farmers with food banks, and many have scaled up efforts in response to the pandemic. As the pandemic shut down restaurants this spring, California farmers and ranchers saw their markets drop by half, leaving many with fields full of crops but no buyers. And as millions of people lost their job, the state food banks needed to triple their food supply. Fortunately for California, the state had a long-standing initiative tailor-made to help with these twin crises. The Farm to Family program, run by the California Association of Food Banks and supported by the state's Department of Food and Agriculture, pays farmers to send surplus produce to food banks. All the farmers in California that we work with, they rely on us and we rely on them, said Stephen Linkart, who directs the program. When some sources dry up, we're still there to take the products they have in excess. During this time, the farmers have really leaned on food banks to be an outlet for their product. More than a dozen states have similar programs and have scaled up their efforts this year. Several other states have created or expanded online marketplaces for their farmers, and ranchers may transition to direct-to-customer sales. The programs, as soon as boon 17 million Americans face food insecurity as a result of the pandemic, according to Feeding America Hunger Relief Organization. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has launched its own $3 billion effort to buy food from farmers and deliver it to food banks. The program delivered 50 million food boxes at the end of July, but has plagued by controversial contact disparities in distribution and difficulties in the supply chain, according to news reports as the program rolled out. The department did not respond to questions. So they're having issues as well with the farmer to food bank distribution. This just reminds me of the lines in the 30s. This reminds me of soup kitchens where people would give soup and coffee and donuts to the unemployed. Just the lines of people just lining up because they were hungry and they needed food. That's what this reminds me of. So, excuse me, guys. Go out there and make sure you donate whatever leftover cans or leftover food you have that you don't use, that just piling up in your pantry. Make sure you help others out there in need. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hit like and subscribe for more. See you guys next time. God bless.